So a funny thing happened in Tunisia today or yesterday. I don't mean funny as in haha. I mean funny as in you could learn something very essential from studying this. So in Tunisia is a country in Africa. It's bordered by Libya and Algeria. They have no oil, no gas, no silver, no gold. How do they stay afloat? How do they stay a country? Tourism. Tourism accounts for 40% of their GDP. So what happened in Tunisia? Well, several gunmen went to a museum in Tunisia, and Tunisia is famous for its historical sites. Of course, Tunisia is now all Arab. It's no longer African. The Arabs came and slaughtered all the African in their great jihad that took over all of North Africa, including Egypt, with which people, for whatever reason, seem to forget. Anyway, gunmen went to a museum and shot over 30 people in the museum, tourists, workers, directors, except for one man. They showed video of the gunman coming around the corner and the man coming downstairs. He says hello to them and walks on, and they don't shoot him. What is it about that guy that was different from everybody else in the museum? Remember, they shot men, women, children, tourists, workers, directors, everybody. What could it have been about that guy that they didn't just shoot him? And they're walking around with AR-15s or something like that. I'm not a gun person. The guy was black. And I know everybody's going to go, oh, no, that couldn't possibly be. They shot everybody in the place, except for one guy, and the guy happens to be black. And the gunmen are not black. The gunmen are Arabs, or whatever you want to call them. Semites, right? So here's the funny thing about this. Immediately, tourists started canceling their stuff. 38% of the population, over 500,000 people in Tunisia, are directly employed by tourism. The gunman shot tourists. Tourists said, nope, that's a no-fly zone for me. Most of the tourists come by ocean liners, canceled. Flying in, canceled. Hotel reservation, canceled. Tunisia, if tourism drops to zero, the country will fall, and there will be absolutely no way for them to ever recover. And there will be no reason by the World Bank, the IMF, to subsidize them for a time, because there is absolutely no hope of them ever repaying it. They have nothing of value there. When is the last time you heard of Tunisia? I'm asking. When's the last time you heard of Tunisia? Other than in a song, or a poem, or something that you had to do in school. You don't hear about Tunisia because there's nothing there. There's nothing to look at. And they are 100% Muslim. So you see what I'm getting at? If we really, I mean we as in we little peons, we peasants, we the 99%, that these giant corporations, the military industrial complex, the political industrial complex, one hand shakes the other hand, goes to war. If we really wanted to learn from this, what could we learn? It's quite simple. You want to punish somebody? Don't give them your money. It is a powerful thing. Do you know that slavery and racism ended ages before it ended in the United States? Ended because it was too costly to begin with. The United States was actually paying for people to have slaves. If you bust out a spreadsheet, you would see that all of those farmers with slaves were living at the expense of everybody else in the United States. Slavery was never a good thing. In an economy, when you have a person that is a black hole, like a slave, you have to feed, house, clothe, what have you. Slaves were very expensive, right? But there was really nothing that you got out of a slave other than his labor, right? Well, the thing is, no farmer sat down and ever documented until later when the Irish started coming over and the Scottish started coming over. They said, oh no way. I literally have to take care of this human as if this human was my wife, first of all. And I have to take care of their family and their kids. And they said no. They would get maybe one or two, and that was it. And they said point blank, that's all I can afford. It sounds good on paper, somebody working for you for free, but is the money that you're getting out of them in free labor worth the expenses that you have to come? Doctors, yes, you didn't shoot a slave. You didn't kill a slave. I know you saw Roots and a whipping or what have you. That's only a moron. That's only a complete moron. You don't just have, not take care of your slave. You have to have a doctor. You have to everything. Right? Slave has to be up and running. It was a drain on the economy. And the rest of the world figured this out quickly. So what does this have to do with Tunisia and the attack there? This has to do with the way the economy works in the United States. A lot of the stuff that we think is A-okay, smarter people than me have sat down and figured out, whoa, wait, that is actually bad for the United States economy. If we really want to stop ISIS, if we want to stop the wars around the world, we can do it. They get their money from us, and they go to war because we support them. There is absolutely no reason to send your child off to a war in this day and age. They are not supporting the U.S. Constitution. They're not fighting for anything that is supporting the U.S. Constitution or the freedom that we hold so dearly. They're not. They just aren't. Tunisia is going to be plunged into a black hole because tourists are no longer going to support the country. If you don't like Greece, don't support the country. Don't go there and visit and spend your tourist dollars. Don't buy anything that they export. These are all things that you have control over. You don't like China? You think China is doing something that is not good? You don't agree with their financial or monetary policy? Don't buy their stuff. Don't even watch anything from China supported by China. First of all, you have to study a little bit about this stuff. You don't support Obama and his administration? Why don't you look at his biggest donors, their companies, and don't support any of those donors? That's how you do it. We don't have to have a revolution. A revolution is literally, and I'm being just honest here, on a clinical level, a revolution is for the stupid. If you got organized, let's say you dedicated 1,000 people to just studying who are the major donors of, let's say, a David Duke, Robert Byrd, or somebody like that, or Al Sharpton. Who are the major donors of those people? And then you had maybe another 1,000 in charge of distributing the information so that it was quick, easy to understand, and then marketing another 1,000 that just marketed that information of why it is imperative not to buy Levi jeans. You could take out an Al Sharpton, a Robert Byrd, the KKK, and Obama. You don't have to have a revolution. You don't have to fire a gun. Why does white supremacy work? Because they are organized. They have Hollywood. They have the Jews working on it. The atheist Zionist Jews working on it. They have marketing. They have research. They have product placement. They have psychology. How can we generate an entire society that says white is better than all the rest of the other people and do such a great job that people kill themselves trying to be white or trying to claim white? People going out of the way to go against their entire culture and history and marry white people so that their children can come out white. And then those children go off and marry more white people because they're so ashamed that they come from an area where humans are black, or humans are tan, or human are bronze, or humans are copper, or humans are yellowish. So into this dynamic. What you simply need to do is learn from it. What do you learn from it? You learn how they are organized, how they can kill people legally, get away with it, how they can commit mass murder to the very tiny black population. You know, they cut off slavery when they did. They completely cut off slavery. Not that they made the actual slaves illegal to have, but they cut off the import of slaves because the Africans were about to overtake the population of the United States. Did you know that? This would have been, for all intents and purposes, a black nation. They cut off slavery, the import of slaves, completely cut it off. You could only deal with the slaves that you had here because people made projections. They said, if we keep the flow of slaves coming in from Africa to the current levels, we will end up with a black nation in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So we're cut it off. We will only deal with the ones that we have here, and we are going to make it so that the black population shrinks. This is the United States. I didn't say the southern United States. This is the United States. This happened when, it wasn't just 13 colonies, and slavery didn't happen in the 13 colonies. Slavery happened much later than that. People keep forgetting this stuff. Or maybe they didn't learn it at all. I don't know. Maybe the Democrats said that, the evil Republicans did it, who were not even around. The Republicans showed up at the end of slavery. So you were dealing with Democrats this entire time. You are a peasant, right? You can learn from this. This is such a blatant lesson for you to realize. The people are over there crying. I can't drive my taxi anymore because I have nobody to pick up and deliver. I can't run my ship anymore because there's no tourists coming on the ship anymore. And I know if this video got into the hands of powerful people, that they would want to block it or something like that. Or you would have the Democrats come, those poor people, you don't want to say don't go over. Hey, self-preservation. If you have people shooting tourists to stay alive, you make sure that you're not a tourist in that country, right? Now apply that to the United States. Think of all of the things that you don't support. And I'm saying within our borders. Don't send your son off to war to join the military. Stop that. You want us to stop fighting? Stop putting your children in harm's way. Learn him a trade. Learn her a trade, or make her an excellent material to be a wife. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being a wife. And if you're a good wife, a good woman who has learned all of the skills of being a good wife, I don't care what you look like. I had a very pretty girl say in one of my comments that she was too ugly to marry up. She was too ugly to marry a rich dude or a wealthy dude or an upper middle class dude. It's up to the man, not her. Well, yes, it's up to the man. But if you polish yourself, you don't have to. Some of the most powerful, richest women in the entire planet were nothing to look at. Look at all the queens in England. They were nothing to look at. And I'm not talking about that they were born to royalty. I'm talking about they were the daughters of some sort of merchant, and then they polished themselves up to be. Let's look at my grandmother and her children. They all look about the same. But I had one aunt who would brush her hair 1,000 times every night. She just brushed and brushed and brushed her hair. And you could tell because her hair was soft as goose down. And she walked a certain way. And she talked a certain way. And that's just... And all my other aunts said she was just as evil as she was fair to look at. Now, they all look alike. They all look exactly alike. Exactly. But because of what she did to herself, the way she treated herself and the way she acted, she got ahead. But they all got ahead. My entire family, it's pretty well off. You don't have to join the military. Sending your son or daughter off to military only supports the military industrial complex. And I want to say to black parents, mothers, and fathers, you're sending your son or daughter off to jail. I keep to myself, you're boring. People who know me in real life. Oh, you're boring. You stay in the house and you don't do anything. You don't go out and party. I don't put myself in a situation where I am not in complete control. The police are all about control. If I don't put myself into their hands, I'm not going to end up in jail. I don't care what they do. You have your children running in the streets, right? It was always the good, strict parents whose children never got in trouble. And as much as the kids want to rebel, or now people go on TV and say, well, that's just horrible. You being so strict. That's not showing love. If that's not showing love, I don't know what is. You're sending your children off to jail. It's not the police. The police are dogs. They have no brains. They have no power. They have no authority. They're disgusting things. I'm talking about the good ones. I know people say, oh, well, there's good police. No, there's not. In this day and age, there is no such thing. The entire concept is completely gone. What is a police job? What is his duty? To arrest people, to suck the population dry so that the powers that be can get money. That's their job. There is no such thing as a good policeman, no more than there was a good Nazi guard. I want you to understand what you're looking at. Oh, but there's good policemen. Shut up, sheep. There's no such thing. We have the power. Tourists are saying to Tunisia, no. And Tunisia is being destroyed from people simply not showing up. There you have it. I mean, how much more evidence do you need about the power of you, the peasant? Do you know in England, after the Black Plague was over, peasants were paid in gold? The lords and dukes said, please come work my land. I have fields that are going fallow. The apples are rotting on the ground. Please come work the land. And it got so bad that the peasants were bleeding the lords dry until such time as they passed a law that you could not pay a peasant more than so much. But even then, what could the peasants have done? I just told you what they could have done. They could have not shown up, right? You don't want to pay me what I want? I'm not going to do anything. I can work my land. I can make my own, I can sow my own field, and I can grow so much food, and it doesn't even matter that you want to try and tax me, because I'll simply make more food. The power is in the hands of the peasants. And this was the whole notion that the founding fathers had in mind. The founding fathers saw themselves as peasants. They didn't see themselves as the dukes, lords, and kings. They wanted to make George Washington a king, and he denied them. He says, oh, no. Call me the most humble title that you possibly can come up with. And that title was president. I want you to go look up at all the titles possible in the world. President does not connote anything of power, nor of royalty, nor of some sort of divine blessing. Anybody who's religious does not get divine blessing from the title of president, right? It's like being president of a company. There's no divine blessing in that. You just happen to be the guy. And in fact, people may or may not even know your name. They'll just say, oh, he's the president of that company. And that was what Washington said. Don't call me, don't name me king, because we're not worthy. We're not worthy of that. We're the peasantry, and the power rests with the peasantry. That's the whole point of the Constitution. I'm telling all of you, you have the power. This little happening in Tunisia, this should be your mantra. If you ever feel that you want to get back at somebody, remember Tunisia, how their economy is in jeopardy because some idiots went around shooting tourists, and the tourists then said, oh yeah, well, we're not coming there. You want to shoot us? We're not coming there. You are going to go hungry for your own stupidity. My heart goes out to the tourists. I was very saddened when I heard that they shot tourists, because they have nothing to do. Whatever is going on in their country, I don't know if it's ISIS or whatever. The tourists had nothing to do with it. They're coming to give you money. They're coming to make your country better, or at least keep it afloat. And there you have it. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.